Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to talk about when the narcissist dies. When the narcissist dies. You know, death is inevitable to everyone. To me, it's a transition, you know, from our earthly form back into purely our spirit form. You know, we're giving these vessels temporarily, and one day, you know, we have to exit out of them. So, you know, to me, death is a transition. It wasn't always that simple for me. I struggled with the concept of death in early childhood and even into my early adulthood. And that was because I lost my mother at the age of 7. She experienced a lot of abuse in her life, and she passed away at the age of 22, trying to flee from domestic violence. And her then husband used to watch a lot of horror movies, and, you know, as a child, and at the time I was 7, I just seen them as zombies, as bad guys. Like if something was dead and moving around, you know, I was frightened of it, you know, of course. I just had these very mixed up and wrong ways of viewing death based off of these horror movies. So when my mom passed away, you know, of course, it devastated me because I did understand about death enough to know that, you know, she's not going to be alive again. I'm not going to get to play with her again. I'm not going to be able to talk to her again. And I remember at her viewing, my aunts were just dragging me to her casket, and I was kicking and screaming, and, you know, I had a lot of resistance because I thought, you know, that she was going to hurt me. You know, I was a child and I had these horror pictures, and that was what I understood about death. No one else had planted any other seeds in my mind. So I was frightened. They made me go to her casket, and they made me kiss her on the forehead. You know, I'm glad that I did it to this day, but it was traumatizing to me at the time. I didn't understand, you know. And, you know, no one understood why I was behaving this way. It wasn't like I was verbally expressing this or even had the capabilities to do that at the age of 7. But then I went on to be brought up by my narcissistic stepfather. Okay. So, and he's on his deathbed. Yeah, he's almost in his 90s now. And he's on his deathbed for things that I won't get into on this video, but it just prompted me to, you know, touch on that on my channel. And, you know, for those of you who have already lost a narcissist to death, and of course the narcissist didn't, it could go beyond, of course, your primary caretaker. This could be a husband or a wife, a sister or a brother. You know, they come in all shapes and sizes, you know, all different kinds of titles, you know, in earthly form. But, you know, in this video, I'm going to focus on the closer titles. And that would be the primary caretaker, like a mother, a father, a grandmother, a sister, a brother, a husband, a wife. All right, so I want to focus on, you know, in that realm in this video. Because what you're going to find in this situation, you know, when they're on their deathbed or they've actually passed on, it's a transition for them and you as well. It's a transition for them and for you as well. So my other disclosure about this video is I'm speaking from the survivor's point of view. So this video isn't about painting a picture of what the narcissist is going through on their deathbed and, you know, like after they die or something. This video is to support the survivor. You know, my channel is survivor focused, even when I'm educating you guys about the narcissist and their ways of thinking and moving, you know, their behaviors. It's all still to empower you and to help you face, you know, different situations that could occur on your journey, okay? And people die every day, so it is absolutely, you know, appropriate to talk about when the narcissist dies and how that affects the survivor. Because what you'll find, particularly when it was a caretaker, you know, like your mother or your father, is you're going to have like inner child conflicts when this situation is going down, you know. It's going to be inner child conflicts and reflections. And I wrote down a list of feelings and emotions that could happen, you know, when you find out that that narcissist is terminally ill or that the narcissist has just passed away. And you might feel anxiety. You might feel anxiety. I'm sorry, just ate. You might feel confused. You might feel confused for a lot of reasons, because, you know, a lot of times we may have that trauma bond still in effect. So it's a love-hate, a push and a pull type of feeling that you have there. Or perhaps you've done a lot of work in your healing process and you don't wish them any harm. You know, it's not like a resentfulness, and maybe you just might feel sad. I have discouraged on here because, you know, the opportunity to mend that relationship with them is definitely terminated forever at that point. You might feel relieved, particularly if you were being the dutiful sacrificial lamb even to the end, taking care of that sick parent that was a narcissist, or maybe you were shouldering the responsibilities, or maybe you feel relief you don't have to ever talk to them or see them again. You know, perhaps they really, really devastated you. And, you know, it's like this person is not erased, but they're gone. You might feel haunted. Feel haunted mentally, because now if they were pushing towards the back of your mind, it's back in the front of your mind, you know, and you're thinking about the experiences that you've had with this person, and it could still haunt you because a lot of people have obviously had a lot of unpleasant experiences. You might feel frustrated. You might feel powerful, you know, because they're not around now to counter you. They're not around to intercept, per se, not physically, you know. They're not going to be able to continue to add new offenses or do anything else to you. You might feel weak. You might feel vulnerable, because now, like I said, it could be a floodgate of emotions and memories and feelings that are coming to the surface for you now. And it's, you know, it's like digging up the past almost. You know, now you're, you know, they're in the forefront of your mind, like I said, and you are recalling things and remembering things. And, you know, when we remember traumatic events, we're going to remember how we felt in the moment. And it's going to generate in us even a little bit. Okay? So, you know, a lot of things can happen. You might feel angry. Some of you may think you feel happy. You might feel peaceful, you know, like it's finished finally. But it's not quite finished, even if they're removed. Because as you guys all know, the lingering effects of narcissistic abuse can, you know, they can go on well past the time that a person is actually in your life. Because now you have to unpack and sort, you know, your experiences. You have to heal from the abuse, you know. So when the narcissist dies is definitely yet another reminder of everything that you've gone through. But if you have done a lot in your healing process, it may actually be a reminder of how far you've actually come as well. And maybe it won't affect you, you know, the way that you thought. You may actually take it really well if you've gone or come far in the healing process. But the main things that I want you to do when this occurs is to definitely examine your attachments and also examine your thoughts on closure. Okay? Because sometimes if they're just on their deathbed, we might think that we can scurry in and perhaps them being terminally ill or whatever the accident was, or the situation that caused them to be on their deathbed, we might think that, you know, maybe this will humble the narcissist. Maybe the narcissist will see that time is of the essence. Maybe now I can get that closure. Maybe now they'll tell me they love me and actually mean it. Maybe now they'll show me some kindness. You know, maybe now the abuse will stop, basically, and things will get better and we can mend things before they transition. That's less likely. That's less likely. And from a lot of people that I speak to, they never get that closure because it's just not the way that narcissists are set up. Just not the way that they're set up. They're not set up to take accountability. You know, they're not set up to live in the past. They're not set up to acknowledge other people's feelings. They're not set up to tap into their emotions in that way. If anything, they're set up to rewrite things to make them be victimized. They're definitely set up to gaslight and to turn a blind eye, to push things down. You know, this is how they're actually set up. So sometimes the death of the narcissist can actually cause at least that one last offense in our hearts anyway, where we don't get that. But I'm going to recommend for those of you who are just in this situation right now where the narcissist is just on their deathbed, don't seek that. That's not what I want you to be seeking right now, okay? I want you to accept what it was and what it is. I don't want you to take this situation or this time to try to fix it, okay? And that's just to protect yourself because they're not looking to do that. If anything, they will go down getting the supply of keeping that from you, okay? And examining your attachments, just meaning your whole thoughts centered around death, period. Whether the parent was a narcissist or not, you know, everyone's going to die. You know, it's a part of the circle of life. So our attachments to people and acknowledging that that day is going to come. But when it's a traumatic relationship, obviously we're talking about the trauma bond. You know, for some of you it will be a soul tie, the Stockholm syndromes, and, you know, the toxic attachments. And also your empathicness being triggered and causing you to have that mercy on them and being that sacrificial lamb for them. You know, because now that they're on their deathbed, it's like, you know, you're tapping back into that empathy for them. All right. And it's like, you know what? All this abuse happened. I'm just going to put it to the side. They're dying right now. I'm going to be the good son or the good daughter. And I'm going to, you know, pay for this funeral and do all these wonderful things for this person and just, you know, use my cognitive dissonance right now to get out of this. And, you know, what I went through isn't important anymore. It just, you know, and these are the inner child conflicts that are going to surface. And some of you are like, you feel numb. It's like, I don't wish this person any harm, but I don't want to be a part of it either. So, you know, there's more than one way that a survivor can react to it. And, you know, my advice is just to let things be natural and not forceful. You know, don't feel obligated to do anything that you feel like doesn't honor you. You know, and just be mindful of the 5 stages of grief. Of course, this is just basic for you to understand when embarking on this. And those are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. You know, not in any particular order, but you're going to feel these things as you grieve over this narcissistic parent. And you're like, Lakia, I'm not grieving over that person. They treated me horrible. But there's still a grieving that's going on, whether you're conscious of it or not. Okay? Which is why I wanted to make this video. The whole thing is, you know, with the inner child conflicts and reflections, the good thing is you're not a child anymore. Even though you have an inner child, you're not a child anymore. You're able as an adult to address these things and work on them and do your shadow work. All right? So, you know, you can work through these things with or without the narcissist, and preferably without the narcissist, because, like I said, you know, the way that they're set up is not, you know, set up to help you heal. They're set up to cause more damage. All right? So, you know, the narcissist death can definitely be a very complex thing, you know, in your psyche. But if you work on your perceptions and your attachments and your ideals on closure, is going to help you through this process. And of course, anything that you can do to soothe. And you know what, soothe isn't even the word that I want to use here. Anything you can do to help heal, because you can soothe yourself with things that aren't healthy. Anything that you could do to soothe your inner child is definitely going to be recommended, and it would be a great time probably for you to get into therapy or some type of coaching. And I do offer that, guys. If you're interested in getting that from me, just email CoachLakia@gmail.com. Okay? Thank you for tuning into my video. Death is, you know, as human beings, it's almost taboo to us, even though it's happens all the time. But we have to let go of our control in this world. You know, I don't have a fear of death. It's a transition. You know, we cry. I think we cry for those that pass, and they're crying for us because they're free in a way that we aren't. We're very confined in our vessels. You know, but if you are a part of the living, of course, God is not finished with you, and you're waking up every day because there's a plan. There's people that you need to leave impressions on, things that you need to live and learn and grow through. And, you know, you're leaving your imprints here on this world. So if this video resonates with you guys, go ahead and hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe and hit the bell so that you get notified. I have over 300 videos, guys. Go ahead and take advantage, all right? And in this time of grievance, just be careful about depression. The death can be a trigger to you, and a lot of things that happen between you and that narcissist that you may not have addressed. Okay? So don't be surprised if it feels like all these emotions just punch you in the face. All right? But it's an opportunity for you to lift your consciousness and heal.